Okay, we're back. I'm Dwayne Dixon, and you're watching Success of a Nation. Ladies and gentlemen, it's about to get real. It's about to get real today. I've got none other than Roddrick Jones on the show today, and I'm super excited about it. He comes with a lot. He's got a lot to offer. I'm always eager and excited to interview those who are on the other side of the multifamily space. And what I mean by that is he's the money man. He's the money man. How much we raised so far, man? How much we raised?
We done over 50 million.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's like that. It's like that. Okay. You see what I'm saying? And so just for that alone, and yes, sure, we know people who have raised more than 50, but that is so not the point. It's the fact that he's doing it, he's making it happen, he's doing it on his own terms, and we can get into the numbers a little later in terms of how our community and where we fare, on the financial end of things. It's usually, the numbers are usually abysmal, to say the least. So just to have a brother like Mr. Jones sitting with me today and us doing this interview again, I am very much excited to do this. So without further ado, I guess we'll just get started. He already sort of knows my format, but I got to start from the top, man. I got to start from the top, like where it all started. People have to know that, they can do it too. That's primarily what this show is about. So when they meet people who look like them, who came up like them, not unless you was like born in the Hamptons or something. You were born in Martha's Vineyard, man.
I'm far from that.
Not the Vineyard.
No, not the Vineyard at all.
Okay, Calabasas.
No.
Okay.
Just a regular guy out here, man.
There we go. So as I said before, I'm so looking forward to this, man. So Roddrick, let's just start from the top, man. I want to know where it started from you. I want to know your who fed into you to get you to this point. I know there's some mentoring involved, some good family involved. Somebody had a hand in getting you here, because we don't get this excellence like this just by happenstance. Yeah. So let's start there.
All right, so you want the long story, or do you want like the
man,
real
listen,
estate kind of short story?
No, no. This is Success of a Nation, man. We're talking about your successes and how you got here and how it formed and all that good stuff.
All right, so it started way back in the day when I was in high school. I would say even before high school. So like when I was a kid, I was going around knocking on people's doors, selling pens, saying, "Hey, would you like to fund my trip to Disneyland?" Buy my pen for $1.
You're one of them?
Yes, so I was doing that. And then I went to high school. Well, my grandma always pushed it. She's like, here's a catalog. Go out there and make some money. Like, what the heck am I supposed to do with a catalog? How am I supposed to make money with a catalog? And she was like, figure it out. So then I get to high school, and I start selling candy in high school. So I'm selling candy, and before I knew it, I had people coming to me in the morning, getting the candy from me, and then going out and selling it and just bringing me the profits back. So I would go and get the candy. I was selling it at first. Then other people was like, hey, how can I start making money selling candy? I'm like, just come buy it from me, and then I'll give you the candy, and you just come back and pay me at the end of the day. And it was working.
You was pimping the M&Ms, man. In the Snicker bars.
Yes, 100%.
I know, because I did the same thing.
Yeah, and the best part about it is that in high school, I had a teacher, and that it was like our period was lunch period. So he found out I was selling candy. He was like, you selling candy? I'm like, yeah. He's like, come to the front. So I came to the front. I thought I was in trouble. He was like, if you give me 2 pieces of whatever I want any day, you can have as many people come in and out of the classroom during lunch period selling candy. And you can sit by the door. First thing I did, I said, okay, what do you want? You can have 5 pieces. So every day I would come in, give him his 2 pieces. And that was the busiest period, so I would sell like crazy, coming in and out. Still doing my work and selling it at the same time. And I respect that teacher. I won't say his name because I don't want to,
Yeah.
But I respect him a lot.
Yeah, I think the statute of limitations is up on the candy allowing sales. But I got you.
Yeah, so then we fast forward. I go to college. I want to be what the heck is that thing called? I want to be a corporate attorney. I want to do mergers and acquisitions. That's what I want to do.
Okay.
And so we get there. I'm working valet in college, and I'm interviewing all these attorneys that come in. I'm like, tell me something I don't know about law. And they're like, if you don't love it, find another career because this is not it. One person told me that. I'm like, maybe he's just trying to keep me out of the industry. He don't want me to get in there. So
yeah, he hating.
Yeah, so I started interviewing all of them. And they all kept saying the same thing. So I'm like, okay, this was my sophomore year in college. And I was like, okay, if they all saying the same thing, I should try something different. So I was like top 10%, Golden Key Honor Society, the best student ever. Once I figured out like entrepreneurship was what I really wanted to do, that thing went down. I was the worst student. I barely got out of there. C's got me a degree. I was like, it's atrocious.
In college?
How I got out of there. Yes.
What school did you go to, just out of curiosity?
So I went to Savannah State University.
Okay.
And the oldest HBCU in Georgia.
Okay.
So
good deal.
I went to that college, and the best part about Savannah State is that they gave me an opportunity. So like HBCUs give African American students opportunities when our test scores may not be high as everybody else. Or,
Sure.
We didn't do well on the SAT, ACT. They say come in if you're competent enough to pass these 2 exams.
Right.
Then you can come in and we'll let you go to college.
Yeah.
So I got ACT was good, but I had to take a compass exam for math and English.
Okay.
And I did phenomenal on that exam. They was like, okay, you can come in. And then from there, I was a successful student. So
Man, that's great.
yeah, so
That's
I always
great.
say like HBCUs is the dopest thing ever because they understand students on a different level.
Yeah.
And it's just the culture there. So if you ever get a chance to attend HBCU, make sure you attend that thing.
Shout out to the HBCUs, man. Now, I've got a little story, and I don't want to get too far off of it, but
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, it's all information. So, just take it for what it is. I felt the same way, right, about HBCUs. Now, when I graduated college, I got a degree in programming.
Okay.
And I don't want you to get off track just because I veered for a moment.
No, I got it.
I'm tapping into your HBCU thing.
Yeah.
So I got a degree in computer informations and immediately realized that I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I then did was I got a job as an IT recruiter.
Okay.
And this is going somewhere, believe me, it's going somewhere.
All right.
As a recruiter, you get all of these resumes, and I would take, the resumes, and we'd structure them in the way that our clients wanted. We dealt with all Fortune 550 companies, 150 companies, what have you. So we get the resume structured, and being still fairly new, I would take my resume to my manager and say, hey, this is a good one.
Yeah.
This is a good one. And inevitably, they would always look at the resume. I said, he's degreed. He's got the information. He's got the degree. We can send him to Georgia Pacific. And that was his big account, right?
Yeah.
GP.
Yeah.
He would inevitably always say, I don't like the schooling. And that was my real first taste to how people are seen. And by the way, he went to FAM, right?
Correct.
So that was my first taste right out of college. And that's what I'm That's what I'm dealing with. Now,
Yeah.
this is back in the day, and you know, a lot of that stuff probably, you know what, who am I fooling? It probably still goes on. Of course it goes on. But, you know, we'd have AA
Yeah.
on the resume on the corner for our own internal purposes. That meant all American. Okay.
Yeah.
So now this one can go to GP. Or this one can go to, you know, whatever companies. And I hope that's like not saying anything because I'm just putting GP out. But that was how the manager, but that was how the manager perceived it. It's not necessarily what the company was doing. So can't, you know, take any harsh criticisms toward GP. But nevertheless, that's how my manager, that was my introduction. So therefore, with me being inundated with that type of philosophy, when I had my kids, as much as I wanted them to be on the yard, at Spelman and the house and all of that, I was like, baby girl, you're going to have to go to Emory.
100%.
We're gonna have to get that UNC love, or you know, she was looking at Vassar because one of her friends had gone to Vassar. That wasn't gonna happen. It was in Poughkeepsie, New York. But nevertheless, that was sort of the turn for me, man.
So schooling, knowing what I know now, I still would have went to Savannah State. But if I ever decided to go back to school, schooling is, I think I want to step on myself here. Schooling in college is important if you have to go and get a specific degree.
Yeah.
And now it's more about, can you produce what you say you can produce, not where you came from. But knowing that, you still use school as a strategic play. However, if you attend that school and you can't produce results or you can't do what you say you're going to do, it doesn't even matter. Because the real world, when you get out, it's, I need you to make 100 phone calls and get a client. Can you do that? If the person that went to Harvard can do it, I mean, if the person that went to a fancy school can do it, cool. If the person that didn't go to an Ivy League school can do it, you know, then cool. But it all depends on what you can do. Can you produce the results that you say you can produce? If you can do that, then people will rock with you. If you can't, then people will stay away from you. And the degrees don't make or break a person. It's just the person makes or break the person.
I love that philosophy. And I think that that's the healthy philosophy to have.
Yeah.
I just know that some of these gatekeepers out here won't even give you the opportunity to show and prove. Because, again, my manager said, don't like the schooling. I got to go back to the drawing board and find somebody at goddamn Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
So this is a real problem. And trust me, with the way society is now, I certainly don't think it's gotten any better. Hell, it's probably gotten worse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With all the blatant things that go on today, I mean, that was probably just the tip of the iceberg. But nevertheless, I digress. I didn't want you to, you know, get away from your upbringing and all of that. So please go back.
Okay. I think we were at Savannah State.
You're at Savannah State, corporate attorney, interviewing.
Figured I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Yeah, so figure out I want to be an entrepreneur. So I went to the bottom of the student level. And my teacher just asked me, like, bro, what are you going to do? Like, you are a senior. And first of all, I'm setting this up so that way you realize how dumb I am. You know, so that's what I'm trying to do. Not even dumb, but try to realize how normal I am. Because I don't want to make it seem like I'm just some extraordinary person.
No, he is.
I'm trying to set it up so you realize how, like, regular. So, first of all, I'm supposed to get a 4-year degree. I was at Savannah State for 5.5 years because I was just doing frivolous things.
Yeah.
Not even, I finished because I started it, and it was for my parents. You know, like, I got the degree. Here you go, Mom.
Yeah.
Never asked me to go to school ever again in my life because I'm not doing it. So I'm sitting there. I'm a fifth year and a half senior, and my professors are asking me, What are you going to do with your life? You're 5.5 years in. You don't have internships. You barely come to class. What is it? So I'm like, I'm gonna be an entrepreneur. I was sitting back in class. I think I'm gonna be a billionaire and talk about how I'm gonna run my businesses and all that. And everybody, my professor's eyes would just be like, here you go with this business stuff again. Why are you here if you're gonna do business? So I got my big breaks. So I did two. First, I opened up a social media marketing company called Lucreate Marketing. And this is my first time out of the gate. So I got my refund check from Savannah State, and I went and bought a big fancy office downtown. Didn't have a client, didn't have anything. I just said I wouldn't have looked the part. So if you came to that building, it would look like he has an office, he has a kiosk,
Oh, you were ready. You were ready. You were the man.
Yes,
Was you wearing your power tie back then as well?
Yes, I was suited up then too. And you would think he is a successful business person. Didn't have a client. I would tell my business partner, we'd be in that office like stressing. I was sleeping in that office sometimes. My house was down the street, so I'm not saying I slept in the office.
I get it.
But I would take naps in there. I would tell my business partner, if we don't get a client, we are going to fail, dude. Like, we're spending money and we don't even have nothing coming in.
Right.
And so that business, inevitably, it failed. So then I shifted into this company called Galaxy Board. We were selling the hoverboards that came out. I like to say consumer electronics company, if we want to jazz it up. So I started selling those. I got on Skype. I went to Alibaba. I got on Skype. No, first I seen a video called Funky Duck or something like that, and I seen them riding. I'm like, what the heck are these? And they were selling them for $1,500. So I said, where are they getting them from? They got them from Alibaba. So I went on Alibaba. I found the manufacturer. I said, can I sell your product? They said, yes. I said, how much is it going to cost me? They said it's going to cost $200. I said, okay. They said, if you order 100 units, 100 units, 100 hoverboards, then we'll either slap your logo on there and your cost will be $150. So I said, okay. I said, can you send me a picture on a white background and can I put it on my website and sell it before I buy it? Which was called drop shipping today. So they said yes. So they sent me the pictures, and I said, show me around the factory, show me how they work. So we're on Skype. I'm looking at them, riding hoverboards and everything like that. First 2 weeks made $56,000, and I was sitting in class, and I never seen a hoverboard, and the orders was rolling in, and my professors are asking me what I'm gonna do again, and I said,
this is what I'm doing.
That is it.
I know you showed them the receipts too.
That is it. I said, do you see this? They said, okay. They said, this is not sustainable. I said, I don't care. 56,000, 2 weeks. It takes people a year to make 56,000. And I made it in 2 weeks selling hoverboards.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, I'm doing this. So I did that. We made a lot of money. And then hoverboards started blowing up. Mine didn't start blowing up, but the industry, the news started saying they're blowing up. I'm importing them from China.
Just out of curiosity, from a business standpoint, I got to ask, if hoverboards are blowing up and you're ahead of the hoverboard curve, why is yours not blowing up?
Because you could get them with, I think it was all a media ploy, but you can get them with two types of batteries.
The media was out to get you.
Not even me, but just hoverboards in general.
Okay.
Because nobody could really put a patent on something that was being drop shipped from China and anybody could get their hands on.
You talking about the fires?
The fires and stuff like that. So you can get them with two batteries, a Samsung battery or a cheap battery. The cheap battery only costs $100. Samsung battery, if you get it in large quantities, costs $150. So people are like, if I can just save $50 and get a cheap battery, I'll do that. And I think that was the problem. The cheaper battery caused the blow ups. Whereas if you got the quality
Samsung,
battery,
yeah,
it wouldn't cause a blow up. And so I think that was the main problem. So I had when I got out of the business, I had 100 hoverboards sitting at the Atlanta airport. Customs was holding them forever. And so I just said, you know what?
Why? Because of the problems in the industry or because of some technicalities?
Because of the problems that was in the industry. They were like, we got to inspect them, make sure it's good. And I had customers that needed it. So I'm like, I don't have the product. The product is here, but I can't send it. So I just refunded all the customers their money back. And then I just waited until the hoverboards came. So when I broke down the business, said I'm getting out of it, I closed up shop. The next morning, hoverboards are sitting on my front porch. I'm like,
oh, man.
What the heck am I going to do with these? So I just started giving them away. I gave them away to my family, donated a lot of them to a foster care camp, and just got out of the business.
So why didn't you just sell them? You had them. I mean, you could have maybe called the people back or whatever.
True. But that was my first successful business venture. So I'm still new to doing this. And I was just like, I'm done with this. It's too much of a headache.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized I should have called them back. It's part of business to have problems. It's not just going to be a straightforward like process and
right.
go from there. So I got into that. I got out of that. I was doing all of that so I can get into real estate. So then I graduated from Savannah State. This was all before I graduated. So I graduated from Savannah State 2015. I moved to Atlanta, and all I have is a bike and a little bit of money from my hoverboard business. And I'm not getting a job. So I had this conversation with my family. I said, I went to school, but if you expect me to get a job, don't, because I'm not doing it. And everybody was mad at me for a long time. They were like, bro, you went and did all this college stuff. You're the first person in our family to go to college, and you coming back and telling us you're not going to use it? They were mad. They were mad. So I go to this networking event called Haves and Wants in Atlanta. It still happens today. I show up and I say, my name is Roddrick Jones. I want to be a wholesaler, and I don't know what the heck I'm doing. And everybody bust out laughing and said, you're in the right place. Let's figure it out. You know, so you go there, you stand up and say what you have, and then you figure out what you want. Then from there, that was my wholesale business from day one. So my mom would be like, are you looking for a job? Are you doing this? And I'll put on my clothes like I'm going to work every single day. And at one point, I even got a job at a restaurant. And then I worked there. I see my paycheck. So, all right, we're going to go back a little bit. So I got a job waiting tables. There's nothing wrong with waiting tables.
That's right. That's right.
Don't think there's nothing wrong with it. But I got a job waiting tables at a restaurant. And I got my check back. And I was like a helper it was like a fancy restaurant downtown. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't a server. I was like a server assistant. And I got my check back for 2 weeks worth of work, and it was $450. Then I'm like, $450? What can I sell to make $450 in 2 weeks? You know?
Yeah.
So when I got that, I said, heck no, I'm out of here. I'm going to do my own thing, and I'm going to figure it out. If I can make 2 weeks and people are happy to make work in 2 weeks and I'm making $450, but at least I have a job, doesn't make sense. If I can figure out something to sell and still make the same amount of money, and then it doesn't matter what people think, that makes more sense to me. So I started wholesaling, went to that meeting, and my mom was like, you going to work? I put on my clothes like I'm going to work, and I'm going to look for wholesale deals. And then I come back home like I went to work, and I did. I just wasn't at the place that she thought I was at.
So you wholesaling. So what, you driving for dollars or something? What are you doing when you're leaving the house? You got to do something, or you just...
Oh, yeah, I'm busing it and I'm biking it. So I'm going to people's house, knocking on the door saying, I will buy your house, pulling up on a bike. And they're like, bro, get out of here. Like, how are you going to buy my house and you have a bike? You know? And so I do that.
I told you he was special. I told you he's that dude. I told you. Okay.
So I do that. My first deal was like $1,000 deal. And it was a deal that just didn't go through. And I got to keep the earnest money deposit. And the owner, he was like, do you need a ride to the train station? You know, like after I said I was going to buy the house, he was like, you need a ride to the train station? I'm like, yeah. So he would give me rides to the train station. At the close of the attorney's office, they gave me the earnest money deposit. And he was like, I just want you to be successful. Go from there. Took me 9 months to find my real first deal. My real first deal was a wholesale deal in Kirkwood. It was on Hutchinson Street. I made $10,000 on that deal. I could have made a lot more. So I sold it for $140,000, got it under the contract for $130,000. But they end up selling it for $700,000. I'm like, I should have.
After the refurbished, after
repair.
It was repairs.
Well, I should have added a little bit more on there. I was calculating the after repair value to be like $236. They knew the whole time it was $700.
Oh, man.
So I learned that.
But you made your $10,000 though.
Yeah, and that was the happiest $10,000 I ever made. Even though it was the longest it took me to get it, but I was like, I set my mind on something. And I did it.
So it was just an assignment? You just did a quick assignment and then that was it pretty much?
Yeah, I did a quick assignment. That was it.
Okay.
And then even before then, it was an uphill battle. My family was like, who the heck is going to let you put their house on the contract? And who the heck is going to give you $10,000 to like buy a house that's not even yours? I said, I don't know, but people are doing this and somebody's going to do it. I don't know who, I don't know when, I don't know how, but somebody's going to do it. And somebody did it.
That blind ambition is something special, boy.
So that's what I'm trying to paint a picture that it's all an uphill battle. It's nobody's like, now my family is like, yeah, you got it. Like, you're good, But at first they were kind of worried. And I think it was not, I don't think they were doubting me. I think it was like, I want you to be successful and I don't want you to be hurt and be jaded by life.
Absolutely.
So we want to make sure that you can get a job, sustain yourself, and go from there, because entrepreneurship and all the stuff that you say you want to do is a grueling game, and you can either make it or you don't make it. You're either starving artist or you're a, thriving artist.
That's right.
And so I think they didn't want me to go through that hurt.
Absolutely. No, as a parent, I can tell you that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, but I wasn't taking it that way. I was like, y'all don't believe in me. You don't know what I'm doing. And so now looking back at it, it's like they did believe in me. Yeah. And they did know what they were doing. And I appreciate it.
Yeah. And then too, you got to think about, you only know what you know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If they had, a wider scope of how things can happen and this, that, and the third, but they're going from their experiences.
Yeah.
And their experiences generally don't align with driving my bicycle up to the door and asking, can I sell your home?
Yeah, that's true.
So they're doing the only thing they know to do.
Yeah.
So you got to respect it, but I certainly understand it.
Yeah. And so now, after I wholesaled the deal, I did like a couple more smaller deals. And then I'm like, I want to buy on whole, because wholesaling, I'm just spinning my wheels. I'm like, I want to get 100 units, 100 single family properties all over Atlanta. Then I realized, I listened to Rod Cleef, Michael Blanc, and all these big guys, and I'm like, they said you can get 100 units in one place. Then I said, okay, forget that single family stuff. I'm going 100 units in one place. Then at the time, Grant Cardone was doing big deals. He's still doing big deals, but he was like, go big, go big, go big. And everybody around me was like, you should do duplexes and triplexes. I said, no, I'm not doing that. I want 100 units. It's other people out here doing it, so if they could do it, I could do it too.
Right.
So then we scale up. First deal, we do 100 units, 438 units in south of Atlanta. We do that deal. I won't get into details here because that whole thing blew up, and I respect my partners enough to just say it is what it is.
Well, put it this way. One of the things that I enjoy doing on the show is letting the viewers learn from our mistakes.
Okay.
So if you had some mistakes along the way, we don't have to put the guys' names out there, but you can definitely talk about some of the pitfalls so they can avoid them.
All right. So pitfall number one. So, all right, I do this big deal. Pitfall number one. Only reason I recruited a team is so that way I can look official. Because as you see, my previous track records was I'm just out here solo, doing my own thing. I'm a lone wolf. If I don't care what it looks like, as long as I'm doing it,
But you need a team in multifamily anyway. You just had the wrong team.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I recruited people for how it looks. Like I wanted to have a CFO and a COO. And I wanted to do that. But with doing that, you have to recruit people that's a lot further along than you that complements what you have. So, if you're good at numbers, then they have to be good at sales. If you're good at sales, then they have to be good at marketing or something like that.
Right.
And if you build a team like that, it's a cohesive team and it complements each other.
Yeah.
And so you build for your weaknesses and you bring those people on, but you don't build just because I need a CFO, so I'm going to go and get the first person to say they want to do it. That's the rule number one. Second step, make sure you're all on the same page. So if you want to do big deals, make sure you set that standard from day one. And if anybody on your team want to do smaller deals, make sure you set that standard like we're not doing smaller deals from day one. And don't let the conflict of interest
get in the
way. So it's either big or small and no in between. But hindsight, you got to be going all the way into it. Hindsight going back as a leader. Well, I'll get to the leader after that. No, we'll go into leader now. So hindsight as a leader, you have to be open to changing the strategy, Okay. So my thing, when I lock on a target, I'm going after that target, and I don't care how long it takes me. I don't care what gets in the way. I'm just going after that.
You're laser focused.
Yes, that is it. But other people around me, my team, were like, well, maybe we should consider this, and we consider this. And me as a leader, I probably should have said, okay, let's consider it. But I'm like, no, this is what we're doing. You knew this from day one.
Yeah.
And so it's a gift and a curse where you can say, we're driving and we're going to get to this destination. But it's
Right.
also like, well, maybe you should listen to your team too.
Yeah.
But you got to bring on people that you respect, that understands where you're trying to get to, and y'all all agree that you're getting there this way. It's just solving the problem of how we get to this destination this way. You
Yeah.
know, not
Yeah.
how can we get to this destination and go around and all this extra stuff.
Sure.
So that's that. But as a leader, you got to be open to hear from your team. And then I said you got to bring a team on and do the vision.
You're
Then-
on 3.
All right. So number 3, equity. When you're giving equity in a company, equity is a big check. It may seem small in the beginning because you got this small pie, you're not making any money. But if that pie grows into $1 billion and you give people 2% of that pie, what is that? I think it's like 2 million, 20 million, something like that. I don't know the math. But $1 billion company and you gave a person 2% of it or 25% of it, you made that person a lot of money. In the beginning, it's small, but in the end, it becomes big. When you're doing agreements, make sure that you have a vesting period. Make sure you lock those people in for a certain amount of time before you give out any equity. Investing just means that you have a period of time where they can't earn any equity into the company. So let's say you have a 1-year vesting period. This means for that first year, they get $0. So if they quit, if y'all blow up, if anything doesn't work, they don't get any equity. And then after that 1-year period, then their shares vest over time, meaning that their shares unlock over a certain period of time. So if you say you have a 2-year vesting period, over a 2-year period, they'll start getting shares, like maybe once a quarter. They'll start getting a piece of their shares coming out. So that way you're not giving all the shares up front and then you blow up and they just run away and have nothing.
Just to let you know, that was worth the interview right there, because that is so true.
Yeah.
And I have had deals go south
Yeah.
and initially was not protected.
Mm-hmm.
But then I've incorporated that same philosophy that you're referring to
Yeah.
in all of my deals,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and if you're not careful, it'll make you feel like entrepreneurship is not the way to go. Like business is supposed to be easy, and maybe I just wasn't cut out for it. And I went through that period of time where like, this business closed. How could it close? It was this. But after time, you just realize it's part of the game. You're going to fall. You're going to get back up, and you're going to keep moving. And all the businesses that I'm doing today may fail. But guess what? I'm going to get back up. I'm going to keep moving. And that's the same process. So you're not bad at business. It's just stuff happens, and you just got to deal with it in the process. Don't let anybody tell you that you're a horrible business person or entrepreneurship is not the way to go or it's supposed to be easy. It's not. It's hard every single day. It's a slug. You're picking up yourself, you're getting punched in the face, and then you're saying, okay, you're going to show up tomorrow with a smile on your face just to get punched in the face again. But it should be worth it at the end of the day. And it's a process. So it's not easy. It's not easy, but just enjoy the process. You're just going through it, and that makes it easy. And good days happen, bad days happen, but you're still a good business person. You're still a good entrepreneur. It's not just for a certain amount of people. If you want to be it, anybody can be it. It's just figuring out what works for you.
Man, thank you for that, man. That was great.
Yeah.
Seriously. And to think you didn't want to touch on this. Man, you dropping gems,
Yeah.
man. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And to sort of circle back to where you started, you glossed over it, but it was 400 plus units. Did I hear you say that?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so despite all the hiccups and the obstacles, you closed on a 400 unit for your asset for your first time around in terms of your multifamily dealings.
Yes. Almost. Remember that detail is almost there.
Okay.
And that's where all the stuff.
Okay, so you never really closed.
I got the money, had to give it back. Yes, that is it.
Now that's a great one too, because getting the money
Yeah.
is major, which is what I started this whole interview off with. You
Yeah.
know, the fact that you're the money guy.
Yeah.
And your experience is not really there like that, but nevertheless, you made it happen,
Heck yeah.
which is even more, more gratifying.
Yeah.
Speak to that. We got to get into the
Yeah.
weeds, man. Come on, let's go.
Okay, so to get to do the big deal, we had to raise equity. And raising equity, people always say you got to know people, your family, and all this. Bro, I was broke. I my business.
All that friends and family stuff. Call on your friends and family. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I have no friends and family that can give me money. I have no friends and family that has the net worth to do the deals that I'm trying to do. And people say you got to have. You don't. I know nothing about this industry. Zero coming in. I had no connections, no nothing.
Right.
And so what I did every single day was I started by talking to accredited investors. Somebody came to me and said, we have a Houston deal. And this is a long story. I'm getting back to the 430. I just want to show you something.
Sure.
So we got a deal in Houston. We need $500,000 for this deal. It's a value add play. It's 538 units. It's in Houston. They're like, can you bring 500,000? This is my first time raising from accredited investors. So I'm like, yeah, I got 5 million from accredited investors. All these people said they're gonna give me commitments. So here I am calling on all these people. I said, we have our deal, wiring your money. I raised $0 on that first deal. Zero.
Houston?
Yeah. So I had to go back to the sponsor and say, I said I could do 5. I can't do nothing. They were like, they were just like, okay, no problem. It happens. I'm like, what? You're not mad? They're like, no, this is part of the business. It's like sometimes we hit, sometimes we don't. But I took it personal. I said, no, that is not happening to me again. I need to figure out who got the money.
Yeah.
So that's when I shifted to institutional. And
insurance companies and
companies and all of that. But before we get to institutional, how do we raise the money for the deal, for that 432 unit deal? We did it by connecting with a company called the Big Brokerage, which is JOL. And JOL offers capital market services where they would take your deal to the capital market and shop it around. So we said, JOL, we need $23 million for this deal. JOL looked at the deal and said, okay, we could do this. Just sign this engagement letter. We signed it. We said we're paying JOL 1% for getting us equity for this deal. Money. JOL connects us with this company called Alpha Capital. I'm just dropping all the names here. So JOL connects us with this company called Alpha Realty Capital with Mike Riley. Mike is a phenomenal dude.
He's that guy.
Yes. So Mike looks at the deal. He's like, okay, we can do this. So I'm like, what the heck are these guys doing? Me, I'm struggling trying to get 23, like trying to get 500,000. And you look at a $23 million deal saying, we can do this. Right. So I said, how the heck did they do that? What? Yeah. How did they get us 23 million? How did they get to that? So then I figured out, I started reversing engineering it, looking at it, start talking to people. Like, okay, that's what I want to do. I want to do that. I want to get the money. That's what I want to do. And so then once this partnership blew up, I started running that play, getting to the money. How did they get to the money? They started talking to all the sources that had it. And institutions. So institutional, once I started learning about it, I said, institutions have problems just like people have problems. Accredited investors need somewhere to put the money. Institutions need somewhere to put the money. What is the difference? Accredited investors' problems are smaller. Institutions' problems are larger because they have more capital. They need to place more capital. And so how can I solve institutional investors' problem? First, you call and say, what are you looking for? What type of deals do you like to invest in? What does this look like? What does this look like? And you're just talking. You don't have a deal. You don't have an opportunity. You're just getting to know them. They tell you all of their criteria. Then that's when I said, okay, I'm going to start lending out the money. So once I got all these criteria of institutions and how much they're looking to place and where they're looking to place and all this, then I said, okay, I got their lending requirements. How can I streamline this process? So I said, if I go out and find deals that look like this, can you give me a bucket of capital that I can pull from and say, this is your bucket, go and play in this field? They said, yes, here's your bucket, go and play in the field. This is what it looks like. So now when deals started coming in, I started saying, okay, does this deal work? No. Okay, I won't do it. Does this deal work? Yes, I'll do it.
You're underwriting the deals
so
as well?
I'm underwriting, I'm doing everything. So I go through the full process before it even gets to the institutions. Because the institutions is just going to investment committee saying, we underwrote this deal, we like this deal, all the metrics check out. Investment committee look at the package we put together, and then they say, okay, let's do this. And the investment committee, I don't want to make it sound like it's 500 people in the room. It's me and an institution, and one person from that institution saying, we like it, let's do it. But before it even gets to that point, we're underwriting, we're reviewing all documents, we're doing everything. And then we place it on the table and they're like, okay, we like this. And then we got to that point by just documenting the process, figuring out how can we really streamline it. And so institutional investors were, but when I started, I had no connections. I didn't know any institutions. People say you got to work at Wall Street. You got to do all this extra stuff. You got to have an investment banking background.
Right.
I had none of that.
Right.
So I picked up the phone. I sent emails, and I just started talking to people, asking them, what are you investing in? What are you looking to invest in? I see that you have this. What is this? Then from there, that opens doors. So it's not like you got to have some fancy nothing. I am nobody. I'm just a person that's out here trying to figure it out day by day and putting the pieces together and making it work.
I think the best thing that we can take away from what you've said is just doing it.
Yeah. Just
got to do it. You know, that's an incredible story. You and I have already sort of talked offline about it, so I know your story. Mm-hmm. But just to hear that, you know, just know that that's why you're here. Because of your stick-to-itiveness, because you refuse to be told no. You know you're coming in at a disadvantage, let's just say, you know, from a context
100%.
perspective. You know, but you making it happen, man. Mm-hmm. And that's what it's all about. So, in great point you make, you call the company and you ask basically what their acquisition criteria is.
Yes.
And then you go down the line and they tell you exactly what they're looking for, because every company is different.
Correct.
You find out what they're looking for, and then you go out and find it.
Correct.
Is it just as simple as that?
It's as simple as that. That's all every commercial advisory company does. So they use fancy terms, capital advisory, commercial mortgage brokerage. All we do is play matchmaker. That is it. You got this list of people that have all this, and then you got a person that needs money. You figure out which person matches best with the person for their needs, and then you match them together, and you make a fee in the middle. That is what everybody does across the board, and they charge you a fee for doing so. And that is it.
That's beautiful, man. Yeah.
And so I'm breaking that down to let you know that's how simple it is, but it's a lot of steps in there.
Yes.
But then it's also a part that's like, okay, well, what if I don't want to be a capital advisory person? What if I don't care about all of that? What if I just want to do deals? I want to do deals and I need money for deals. How do I get that? That may be something that people are thinking like, how the heck do I get the money? All this sounds good. Like your story and you're doing deals and all of this, but how does this help me?
I like the way you just did that, because you're thinking back to our conversation, because I've already interviewed you and that's where we go next. So go on, man. Go on, man.
Yeah, so how do you get the money? That is all that matters. All this sounds good. You sound like a good person.
Upstage me on my own show, man. Go on. I'm waiting for it. This is beautiful.
Man, my bad. So
this is great.
So to get the money, I'm thinking about what I want to say because I don't want to step on anybody's toes. But when I was syndicating, I was a starving syndicator. I was broke trying to make a deal happen. And I don't want you to be a starving syndicator anymore. I don't want you to, go broke in the process of trying to make it happen, because that's what washes people out of the industry a lot. Like, they need to do a deal because they're not doing deals. Bills are piling up, and people said we can make $1 million. That is true, but you got to have processes and all this to get there. In the meantime, you're not making any money, and that's what causes the problem. That's how you get washed out. So if you want to do a deal, how do you get money? It breaks down to a simple process. You find investors, you find the deal, you put the money in the deal, you make money. The problem is people are in a chicken and the egg situation. Do I find the deal first or do I find investors first? And a lot of people tell you to find the deal first, because if you find a good deal, you can find the money. And that is true, but you're going to have you're going to stay up late at night. You're going to want to throw up. Your stomach is going to be tight all the time. You're going to have an attitude with everybody because it's not going so fast. You're just going to feel like the world is just on your stomach and your chest. And I don't want you to feel that way. So what I tell people to do is find the money first. So I think Michael Blanc talks about putting together a sample deal package and running a play. It took me too long. I met a guy who did the fund. That's how I got into this whole fund thing and all that. He told me to find the money first, find the deal second. But Mike Blanc says the same thing, but he tells you to do it in a different way. So I'm giving credit where credit is due.
Yeah. Are you a student? Did you join Michael Blanc's program by chance?
No, but I listened to all of his stuff when I first got into syndication.
Okay.
I listened to. I was a. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm an avid learner from all of the stuff.
And shout out to Rod Cleef. That's I'm the program. I'm a part of his program. So
yeah, Rod Cleef was them two. Yeah. Rod Cleef, Michael Blanc. They got me through everything for the most part.
There you go.
And so, I need to get on track. My track is, how do you find the money? So if you want to do a deal, this is what I recommend people to do. I recommend you put together your why. Why do you want to do this? Like, what is my big why for doing it? Your why could be, I want to build a lot of active income from investing in multifamily. It could be, I want to build passive income. It could be, I want to be the biggest landlord in the Southeast. I want to have the most apartments in the world. Whatever your why is, figure it out. Then from there, you create a investment thesis saying, why do I want to get to this? Like, how am I going to get to this why? You know? So this is my reason for investing. I want to do it through multifamily or single family or whatever. But multifamily, it's not an either or thing, but we're focusing on multifamily on this show.
Yeah.
So I want to do it through multifamily. I want to invest in multifamily because of this, this, and this. That is your investment thesis. And I plan to generate returns of this. And we plan to hold it for this long. After you have that, now you model it. Like, what size deals do I want to do? You know, do I want to do 50 units? Do I want to do 20 units? Do I want to do 100 units? Do I do 150?
A class, B class, C class.
So after you do that, then you say, okay, how much are these going to cost? These are going to cost an average of $5 million or $10 million or $100,000. So let's say they're going to cost $1 million on average to keep math low. Now you say, how much equity do I need to buy a $1 million multifamily property? Let's say the bank is going to give you 75%. So that means you need to come up with $250,000. Now you say, okay, how am I going to get this $250,000? This is what we're talking about now. So you say, okay, I need $250,000. This is what my model says. Now you create a pitch book or something that shows investors, which is also a sample deal, that shows investors we're going to invest in deals that look like this. This is our investment thesis, and we are raising $250,000 to buy deals that look like this. Once you do that, you go out to the marketplace, you start pitching everybody. You raise that $250,000 first, and then you turn around and you get your attorney to craft the document, all the legal mumbo jumbo, which is the
PPMs and all of that.
Yeah, and so once you get him to craft the document, then you technically have $250,000 to go out and buy multifamily properties, and you do that first. So don't go and look for a deal first, because the deals are always out there. It's always going to be a deal to be had. But you go and talk to investors first, showing them your pitch deck day in and day out. All you're doing is waking up. How can I get my pitch deck in front of investors? How do I do this? That's your number one thing.
Do you go accredited or non-accredited?
So I always recommend to go accredited, because I don't like people telling me what to do. So that's the reason I do it. But some people do it because they don't do it because they're like, I know only sophisticated. But the difference between the two is if you do 506B, which is the 35 non-accredited investors and a limited amount of accredited investors, then you can't market or advertise.
Correct.
And that
you
hinders,
have to know them.
Yes, that hinders a lot of people. So I say, if you don't know anybody with money, don't do that. Or if you only have a limited amount of people that you know with money, don't do that. Do accredited only, open it up, and then start marketing online. Because when you do 506C, you can do only accredited, and you can market the fund. You can market your opportunities.
That's right.
So why would you handicap yourself without being able to market? You know?
Yeah.
So market your opportunities online. Do the 506C. Don't take this as investment advice, because I'm dumb as heck and I'm not a lawyer. But do
he's giving you that heat. Trust me on that.
So do the unaccredited. Do the C and market to investors online. So you can do this by creating content. You can do this by running ads. You can do this. A fund is just another business. A syndication is just another business. Treat it as such. So start marketing online, start doing all that, getting people to know about your pitch deck, come to your webinar. And then once they're on the webinar, you're pitching them, you're talking to them. Then you're saying, okay, we need your commitments of whatever your minimum is. Maybe it's $25,000, maybe it's $50,000. We need a commitment of $50,000 if you're interested in this fund. They're going to give you the commitments. And once you have those commitments of the 250, go and paper the fund. And then once you paper it, you can get your money back by doing what you call a at-risk capital reimbursement or due diligence reimbursement. Then you put up $15,000 to paper the fund, and your investors know that you're going to get that money back for doing all this work. So that you're going to put up 15, paper the fund, investors are going to wire the documents in, and then you're going to get that 15,000 back into your pocket because you've written it into the fund, you disclose it to investors, and investors know it.
So the 15 comes from where?
The 15 comes from you initially. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have it, then you better get a group of people around you that can give you 15. Like loan me 15,000 or get 3 people to loan you 5,000 and say, I'll give it back in 30 days. I'll give it back in, 30, because it's going to take the attorneys to draft their documents. It's going to take them about 4 weeks.
Speaking of the attorneys drafting their documents, mm-hmm. PPMs can, and all of the other forms of documentation that go with the deal mm-hmm. can be rather expensive. Those soft costs can be very expensive, in fact.
Correct.
How do you deal with that? Because you just sort of get your PPMs and get all your paperwork. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, really? Okay, big man.
Yeah. So how we deal with that is either you have it or somebody you know have it. And so the reason I teach people to do it on the back end or the end is because that last 30 days when you're doing it, you know that I'm going to put this money up and I'm going to get it back with the reimbursements. So even a business move is, let me borrow $5,000. I will give you $5,500 back in 30 days. Like, that's a good return on investment. How the heck are you going to do that? Going to take their $5,000 from 3 people, put it into the legal documents, and then get the reimbursement. And that's how you wash it. But then the soft costs up front and all that, you're going to charge, once again, not an attorney. Consult with them first. You're going to charge a commitment fee. So funds can charge commitment fees. And I think we talked about this offline. We talked about this offline. But I've done a lot of research since then. And so you can charge a commitment fee on the fund level. So on the fund level, you can charge a commitment fee. This commitment fee can be used for working capital, operations costs, salaries, all of that before you find the deal. So this is how you stop being a starving syndicator. A broke syndicator, starving syndicator, and go into a career fund manager. Because the biggest problems that we have as a fund manager is just like entrepreneurs. You don't make money until you do a deal. You don't get anything until you produce a result. And so how you do that, you either raise capital from venture capital, angel investors, and all this. But it's the same concept for a fund, except for you're raising money from investors and just charging them a fee up front, which is not included in all the rest of the stuff. You're just charging them that fee up front so that way you can get your fund off the ground, get operations costs, and say, I need to focus 100% on getting you the best deals. But in order to do that, I got to make sure we can pay our bills. And how do we do that? We charge you a fee. And it's no difference from charging an acquisition fee or anything like that. Right. You're just charging a commitment fee. Now, you do got to determine if you're going to charge an acquisition fee or a commitment fee because you can't be double dipping. Well, you can. You just got to disclose it. But most people don't like that. So it's just, you charge one or the other, commitment fee or acquisition fee. And if you're in the beginning, maybe you consider a commitment fee because you can get that money faster.
Right.
And if you're like, don't really care about the fees, then you just charge acquisition fee on each deal and go from there. This can be used for good and it can be used for bad. Don't take this information and use it for bad, meaning that you're going to go and scam investors out of money. You're going to go to investors and say, we're raising a $1 million fund and we're going to charge a 2% commitment fee without the intention of investing the money, just so that way you can get the commitment fee and think it's easy to do. Don't do that. Make sure when you do this, you do good by investors. You have a fiduciary responsibility. Fiduciary. That is a big word for what? Fiduciary means you're going to put investors' needs first. I'm a fiduciary of their capital, meaning I am a steward of investors' capital. I'm going to do what's best for investors before I do what's best for me. So that is what a fiduciary is. And you people, you listening to this, who is raising money to buy deals, to do all of this stuff, to generate returns for your family and investors' family, you are a fiduciary. Put investors' needs first. Don't scam them. Do what you need to do.
Right, because that's all types of jail time.
Yeah.
Just understand that. It's SEC violations. You've heard us mention PPM throughout the interview. A PPM is a formal document. It's a rather large document that has to be drawn up by an attorney, generally, that basically protects the investors. So it spells out everything that you're going to do as a part of this deal.
Yeah.
And it's a necessary document, and that's why I asked Roddrick about that, because they can run sometimes $10,000 just for for the form.
Yeah, 10,000 is the low end. You play it like 15 to 20 just for
Right.
to
Right.
draft. Now, if you get it for 10, you caught a steal.
Yeah.
You caught a steal. If you get it for 10, let me know who that person is.
Yeah, I
wanna
got a
work with
guy.
him for
I
sure.
got a guy.
Okay. All right, let me get his number because I need that done. For 10, heck yeah.
For sure.
And but only way an investor can invest is if they sign those documents. So you can't collect any money until they sign that PPM, until they sign that subscription agreement, until they sign that limited partner agreement. Once they sign all three of those, money can come into your account. If nobody assigns that, you can never raise $1. And the reason it's like that is to get you on the hook for saying what you're going to do, and to get investors to understand the risk and get them on the hook to understand that they understand what you're going to do and all the risk associated with it. But if they never sign those documents, you can never collect $1. And if you do, you're going to jail. And you're doing Fed time too.
There you have it. There you have it. So you see why I so enjoy talking to this guy, man. He's well read. Give us some books, man. Give us some books that you would recommend, man.
Okay, so some books that I would recommend. Number 1, The Go-Giver by Bob Berg. Number 2, The Carpenter by John Gordon. Bob Berg, The Go-Giver talks about, you heard of go-getters, like he's a go-getter. A go-giver is somebody who's going to give, and when giving, it's like the number 1 rule is the reciprocity of success. You give and then it comes back to you. So like if you have a goal to make $1 million, you need to figure out how to give $1 million away to help other people, and then you'll have $1 million rather than stepping on people's neck to get your million. But if you give it, you'll have more than what you could ever have.
There you go.
And then number 2, The Carpenter is a book about a carpenter who talks about love, care, and serve. So you want to love what you do, you want to care for others, and you want to serve others. And that's the only way we can be successful. And you don't want to get into life and just run on a treadmill. You want to make sure that you embody all of that, and that people can feel it from within inside of you. And they can say, this person loves, cares, and serves. That's what I want to be like. That's what I want. Because life can have us all over the place. But if you just keep that baseline, you're good, you know?
Man, and that's perfect, man. And you see, that's why I like him. You see what his books were that he recommended. The love, serve, and
care.
Love, serve, and care, and the go givers, and so yeah, he's got a good heart on top of being intelligent in terms of his business dealings. So yeah, good guy. I can't say enough about you, man. Really.
Thank you. Man.
In conclusion, let's talk about the ways that they can find you. You've got a pretty nice thing going on Instagram. You do some great videos. You giving out great information. So let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, so you can find me on all platforms at Roddrick Jones. So that's Instagram, Roddrick Jones, LinkedIn, Roddrick Jones, Facebook, Roddrick Moneyman Jones, and Twitter, Roddrick Jones, but TikTok, Roddrick Jones, YouTube, Roddrick Jones.
There we go. So, listen, it's been a pleasure. Can't say enough about you, man. I just enjoy rocking with you, just on GP and good conversation and things of that nature. So, yeah, with that being said, I'm Dwayne Dixon with Success of a Nation. This is none other than Roddrick Jones. And We're going to see you the next time. You take care.